We're going to start with the Tucker Carlson talking about how men are facing horrible oppression and it's getting worse.
The signs are everywhere. If you're a middle-aged man, you probably know a peer who has killed himself in recent years, at least one. If you're a parent, you may have noticed that your daughter's friends seem a little more on the ball than your son's. They get better grades, they smoke much less marijuana, they spend less time playing video games, they go to more prestigious colleges. If you're an employer, you may have noticed that your female employees show up on time. The young men often don't. And of course, if you live in this country, you've just seen a horrifying series of mass shootings, far more than we've ever had. Women didn't do that. In every case, the shooter was a man. Something ominous is happening to men in America. Everyone who pays attention knows that. What's odd is how rarely you hear it publicly acknowledged. Our leaders pledge to create more opportunities for women and girls, whom they imply are failing. Men don't need help. They're the patriarchy. They're fine, more than fine. But are they fine? Here are the numbers. Start with the most basic, life and death. The average American man will die 5 years before the average American woman. One of the reasons for this is addiction. Men are more than twice as likely as women to become alcoholics. They're also twice as likely to die of a drug OD. In New Hampshire, one of the states hardest hit by the opioid crisis, 73% of overdose deaths were men. 77% of all suicides in America are committed by men. The overall rate is increasing at a dramatic pace. Between 1997 and 2014, there was a 43% rise in suicide deaths among middle-aged American men. The rates are highest among American Indian and white men, who kill themselves at about 10 times the rate of Hispanic and black women. You often hear America's incarceration crisis. Well, that's almost exclusively a male problem, too. Over 90% of inmates are men. And relative to girls, boys are failing in school. More girls than boys graduate high school. Considerably more go to and graduate from college. In schools at every level, boys account for the overwhelming majority of discipline cases. One study found that fully 1 in 5 high school boys had been diagnosed with some form of hyperactivity disorder. That's compared with just 1 in 11 girls. Many of them were medicated for it. The long-term health effects of those medications, not fully understood, but they do appear to include depression in later life. Women now decisively outnumber men in graduate school. They earn the majority of doctoral degrees. They're now the majority of new enrollees in both law and medical schools. For men, the consequences of failing in school are long-term and profound. Between 1979 and 2010, working-age men with only high school degrees saw their real hourly wages drop about 20%. Over the same period, high school-educated women saw their wages rise. The decline of the industrial economy disproportionately hurt men. There are now 7 million working-age men in America who don't work. They've dropped out of the labor force. Nearly half of them take pain medication on any given day. That is the highest rate in the world by far. Far fewer young men get married than did just a few decades ago, and fewer stay married. About 1 in 5 American children live now only with their mothers. That's double the rate of 1970. Millions more boys growing up without fathers. Young adult men are now more likely to live with a parent than they are to live with a spouse or a partner. That is not the case for young women. Single women buy their own homes at more than twice the rate of single men. More women than men now have driver's licenses. By the way, the majority of managers in the workplace are now women. Women, on average, are scoring higher on IQ tests than men are. Even physically, men are falling behind. A recent study found that almost half of young men failed the Army's entry-level physical fitness exam during basic training.
So we're going to stop there. I would suggest watching the last 2 minutes because it's very good, very informative, but of course it is long and I got to get to my own points. Some people, especially dumb feminists, might say things like, a lot of these things are just men's fault. How can you blame oppression or women or whatever for low IQ, for example, or men falling behind physically, things like this. It's because men are being affected by women being brought up. And I don't mean that in a literal sense, like, oh, helping women makes men feel... No. What I mean is that feminism has encouraged women to be brought up in every regard. And what it's doing is it's ignoring young boys and men. We're emotional human beings too. We can't just be ignored completely. Men are being disregarded almost entirely in the modern day PC culture. And when that happens, men fall into a depression. Our stress levels and all that kind of stuff is going to rise. And that's what's actually causing men to fail so badly. And that's outside of the oppression that we're forced to face, the legal oppression. Women by default get leverage in divorce court, especially regarding child custody, because women are always assumed to be the better parent, even if they're not. Multiple studies have even proven that women are often assumed to be the better parent just because they're female, and men are never given this consideration. There have been numerous cases where the woman in the relationship was the abuser or cheater and was still granted child custody over the man. 2. It is illegal to circumcise girls, but not boys. 3. Women on average serve less prison time for the same crime. Additionally, women get leniency with most crimes, especially ones related to sex or rape. In general, society believes that women can't rape. This false belief is what leads to many men being laughed out of court if they dare to speak out about a female rapist. Statistics also show that male rape victims usually don't come forward for this very reason. Even the FBI didn't even consider male rape by a female to exist until 2013. Before 2013, the law didn't even consider being forced to penetrate as rape. Number 4, women are given leniency regarding pedophilia. If you look up any child predator-related crime online, particularly ones regarding a teacher molesting a student, the article will always label the article as male teacher molests/rapes female student. But if the pedo teacher is a female and the victim is a male, the article will always say predator teacher makes love or has inappropriate sexual conduct with young student. They never put the word rape or molest if the predator is a female and the student is a male. And female predators face shorter prison sentences than male predators. Number 5, legally, a woman who has raped a man and stolen his sperm is legally allowed to sue that man for child support. On the same merit, if a woman gets pregnant by cheating on her husband, she can legally force her husband to pay child support for the other man's baby. Even if he proves in court the baby is not his, he may still be legally forced to continue paying. 7. On average, if a woman gets pregnant by cheating and having someone else's baby, it is the man's responsibility to prove he is not the father of the baby. The mother who cheated is under no legal obligation to prove that he is the father. And if the man can't prove in 30 days that he's not the father, a court can rule that he's still legally obligated to support the child. 8. A man's life is often completely ruined by a rape accusation. He can lose his job, family, home, etc. And even if a man is proving innocent via the rape accusation being false, it is usually stuck to his reputation for life. And the woman who made the false rape accusation, in general, faces no consequences for lying. In the same way feminists believe men can't be raped, they also believe men can't be harassed. Well, men can be harassed, but much like rape, if a man tries to say that he's being harassed by a woman, he is usually just laughed at. 10. Despite the fact that men make up almost half, 40%, of all domestic abuse victims, women initiate 70% of all domestic abuse via provoking. And men make up 70% of all homeless people, because of men in society generally being forced to pay for everything like child support, leaving many men homeless. There are more shelters for women. 11. Studies show a severe bias against boys in school due to feminism, and the school system only wanting to help girls, despite girls having it easier. The studies show that the boys struggle more at school because of lower social skills, lower behavioral skills, higher rate of ADHD, dyslexia, and learning disabilities, as well as stress. Despite boys having it harder at school, feminism has convinced society that only girls struggle, so girls are getting more support by the school system, despite boys having it harder. As a result, boys are being shown to drop out of school and not attend college at a rapid rate. 12. Women are legally allowed to get abortions without telling their husbands, despite the fact that it is also his child. 13. International Men's Day does exist. It's November 19th. But it barely gets any recognition, and feminists have protested this day numerous times trying to get it removed as a holiday. However, International Women's Day gets acknowledged and celebrated every year, despite women having more rights than men. 14. Men make up 80% of all suicide victims. 15. Men make up 90% of all workplace deaths. 16. Men make up 79% of all homicide victims. 17. Rape stats. You may have seen a stat that says 1 in 4 women will be raped, or that 1 in 5 women will be raped. This is often parroted by feminists, but it's completely false. The 1 in 4 stat came from a biased college campus survey that included consensual drunk sex, I'm not joking, as rape towards women, and only women, of course. And the 1 in 5 stat comes from the CDC, which was proven to be faked and debunked by multiple studies, particularly by an ex-feminist named Christina Summers. Look her up. She's the same woman, by the way, who also debunked the wage gap. Speaking of the wage gap, yes, it's already been debunked, but let's just go over it one more time. So basically, to summarize, if you look up any study that supports the wage gap, you will notice one continuous theme. They all say, repeatedly, women on average make less, women on average make less, women on average, on average, on average. Don't talk to uneducated feminists about this point. Talk to an economist. Every economist in the entire world will tell you that if you want to see differences between, wages between men and women, you don't look at averages. Here's a quick example of why. If 10 women work 30 hours a week and 10 men work 40 hours a week, you will find that the average of those 10 women made less money. Does that mean women get paid less? No, it's because those women worked 30 hours and the men worked 40 in that example. Men, on average, make more. And these are facts that those websites ignored. Men, on average, tend to work more hours per week. Men tend to work more overtime. Men tend to take less holidays off. Men tend to take higher paying jobs. If a man is going to work more hours, more holidays, more overtime, obviously, he's going to make more money. Just look at the medical field, for example. Most nurses are women. Most doctors are men. Nobody forced men to be doctors. Nobody forced women to be nurses. They were choices. But doctors make more money. Deal with it. If a man is working the exact same job, the exact same position, the exact same amount of hours, and the exact same seniority as his female coworker, their paychecks will be the exact same. It does come down to choices. That's the truth about the wage gap. 19. Men are usually insulted or put down if they attempt to show emotions, but women are encouraged to show emotions and are called empowered when they do. 20. Feminists will call a man weak if he shows emotion, but will call him emotionally unavailable if he doesn't. 21. Feminists have complained saying a man holding a door open for a woman is a form of control, but also stated that a man is an asshole if he doesn't hold a door open for a woman. 22. Men are called cheap if they don't pay for a date, but women are called independent and empowered if they do pay. 23. A man is considered sexist for checking out a woman, but a woman is considered flirty for doing the exact same thing. 24. Feminists consider it sexist to show a woman topless in a video game or a movie, but don't consider it sexist to show a man topless in a video game or a movie. 25. A man is considered a pervert for going to a strip club, but a woman are considered just having fun for going to a strip club. 26. Women applying for jobs in the sciences have a 2-to-1 chance over men to get hired, just because they're women. 27. Manspreading, the concept of a man sitting on a bus or a train with his legs wide open, but feminists don't seem to understand that we biologically have to do that because we have a penis. However, nobody complains about a woman taking up the seat next to her with her bags or purse. 28. Mansplaining. Feminists define this as the act of a man speaking over a woman and explaining things to her, despite the fact that, on average, women interrupt more than men. 29. The pink tax. 30. It is socially acceptable to hit men, but not acceptable to hit a woman back. If feminists truly want equality, they need to let go of many of their privileges, including being immune to getting hit back. If you're going to throw a punch and desire equal treatment, then expect to get hit back. You can't claim to want equality, but then also want your female privileges. Granted, yes, men are biologically stronger than women. However, if you're going to use that point, you'd have to admit men and women are not equal, so pick and choose. 31. Women want men to continue paying for dates, while she gets it free. Sorry, but if what you desire is equality, then start paying half. 32. In today's day and age, many men have given up on the dating world. Multiple studies show that men have become scared of women. They're afraid that crazy women will falsely accuse them of harassment or rape. So many men have started to just give up on dating. The days of going to a bar to meet a woman are over. Many feminists have actually tried to get the concept of being approached at a bar, having a drink bought for them, or getting touched on the shoulder considered as rape. Yes, they really have done this. It's this type of behavior that has made men give up in the dating world. And my final point. If feminists want equality, then why do you also want men to treat you as delicate flowers? If you preach equality, then don't ask to be treated delicately. After all, men don't get that privilege. And besides, even if men do treat women delicately, the feminists come out and say something like, "Oh, you think I'm weak." No matter what us men do, we can't win. The double standard is never ending. Lots of feminist debunking going on in this video, but we're going to end off with one more thing. This fucking article. I picked this article instead of all the other stupid feminist articles because it really does highlight just how bad it's gotten. Basically, my final concept I want to talk about is how feminists believe that male oppression victimizes them. And that's what directly proves that women in general are privileged and that men are oppressed, because they're trying to just victim play and even take our oppression as their oppression. And there was actually a billboard in Toronto that mentioned homelessness, right? But here's what the billboard said. 1 in 3 homeless people are women. Oh, women victims. Whoa. Zzz. Back the fuck up. The sign said 1 in 3 homeless people are women. The billboard was trying to say that women are victims. But if 1 in 3 homeless people are women, doesn't that mean that 2 out of 3 are men? That's what feminism is all about. Taking a male oppression and just rewording it and manipulating it to make it seem like women are the ones who are affected by it. Broke men are hurting American women's marriage prospects. Seriously. Men are broke as a result of all the things I've named. Men being depressed and not having jobs anymore because they're all being given to women, etc. But women are the victims. Let's read this insanity and see why they believe that. There's a devastating shortage of men who have their act together. Yeah, I wonder why. Could it possibly be fucking because every single privilege has been given to women and taken away from men, so we can't do anything anymore? According to a new study, that may not be so surprising to all the single ladies out there. What about all the single men who are suffering, homeless, and unemployed? Research now suggests that the reason for recent years' decline in the marriage rate could have something to do with the lack of economically attractive male spouses. So, 2 problems with that. Number 1, it's not our fault that we're struggling. Men having no job, no money, becoming homeless, and all this shit is the fault of feminists. And also, look at the mentality here. Economically attractive? Well, thank you for admitting that these particular women only think of a man as a paycheck. But anyway, who can bring home the bacon? Well, here's the interesting thing, you equality-hating feminists. I thought you were independent and strong and made your own money and all this stuff. So why are you still relying on men to work and make money and buy things for you? I'm sorry, I thought this was about equality. If you're equal, why can't you make your own money? So you want equality, but for men to still buy everything for you. So you're admitting it's not about equality, and it is about privilege. Understood. Most American women hope to marry, but current shortages of marriageable men with a stable job and good income. By the way, yes, you should be aware that the only thing that makes a man desirable is his money. His personality, appearance, morals, that all means nothing. Make this increasingly difficult, says lead author. Litcher adds that unless your dream man is an Uber driver, the dearth of would-be grooms is prominent in the current gig economy of unstable, low-paying service jobs. Yes, because all of the big jobs have been given to women in the face of feminism so that men will suffer. Employers no longer hire based on qualifications and experience. They don't give a fuck. It's all about what your gender is or what your race is. That's all it is. It's all gender politics now. To investigate the man drought, researchers created profiles of potential husbands based on real husbands as logged in American Community Survey data. They then compared these hypothetical spouses with the actual unmarried men. They found that a woman's made-up hubby makes 58% more money than the current lineup of eligible bachelors. So you want the men to make more money while you complain about the non-existent wage gap. Hypocrisy is beautiful. The study reveals large deficits in the supply of potential male spouses, the study concludes. Many young men today have little to bring to the marriage bargain because you've taken everything from us, especially as young women's educational levels on average now exceed their male suitors. Okay, wait, so you're admitting that women are getting a better education now, but still blaming men for this problem. Wow. Some ladies are even starting to date down in order to score a forever partner. Date down. Well, we talked about how men are all depressed these days and have given up on the dating scene. Let's just destroy men's self-esteem even more, as if it wasn't already low enough. And sure, there's the whole love factor in marriage. Whoa, I'm sorry. What are you talking about? People don't marry for love anymore. Are you crazy? This right here has blown my mind. There's no love. Just like the feminists are saying, marriage is all about the man's checkbook while also taking away his money. Because that's possible, but in a feminist mind, why not? But in the end, it also is fundamentally an economic transition. As in taking all the jobs away from men and giving them to women for the sake of feminism. Yeah, okay, sure. I hope you send this video to a dumb feminist that really needs a reality check.